Good morning. We made it to Friday. It's warming up in Maine. Gonna have a balmy day today, like in the mid to high 50s. It's been a while, weeks since we got above the 40s. So that'll make for a nice day. Took my long walk the last 2 days in a row, so I'm gonna take today off. And so glad to have some time live with you this morning or on archive. So my name is Michael, and I'm broadcasting from my garage located in St. Michael's Parish in the Pine Tree State's most powerful and divided city, Augusta, the political center of Maine. Every day I begin by imploring the assistance of God's Archangel of War, St. Michael. Please pray with me if you can. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. St. Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and the other evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So this week has been consequential for me online, and I want to begin this Friday's broadcast by continuing with my narrative and concerns regarding what's going on with Truth Slinger X. That's an account for a business run by Tim and Jen Bodnar on X. Their 30,000 follower account was suspended on Monday, allegedly for a trademark violation. And I want to bring up an essay that he wrote and published yesterday on Facebook. So let me see if I can figure out how to bring that up here. Just looking at the number count, which says nobody's watching. But of course, as I've said in previous shows, I don't, one of the platforms that I'm streaming on, I don't think that StreamYard can get the numbers from that platform, but I think it is getting numbers from X and YouTube's. So if it's correct, it's showing that nobody's watching. So I'm sort of hanging on here to see if anyone joins me live, while I also get set up to read this post that Tim Bodnar published yesterday on Facebook. So here's the post. Oh, and also I'm multitasking here this morning. Up on my big screen, I have a support chat ongoing with the Fedi, F-E-D-I, Fedi outfit, and so I'm kind of watching that. I see that Nihal is typing, probably an Indian or something. Isn't it fun, all this support stuff? I am noticing it. I'm glad I don't have to spend a lot of time on the support, but, um, seems like we're able to, get to more people through the internet support, phone support, culture that speak English well enough for us to have conversations. I think they're starting to improve that. So, still seeing 0 viewers, but, there will be some who come along on archive to watch, so I'm not gonna, uh, belabor this. Okay, okay. My support guy is, uh, asking for time to welcome one viewer who has joined us, thank you, on either X or YouTube, I'm assuming. Good to have you. So, I am, uh, getting started here this morning. We've already prayed by reading an essay that my friend Tim Bodnar published yesterday on Facebook, because he would have done it on X, where he has 30,000 followers, or at least he did have until, Monday of this week, when his account was suspended as a result of an action, by Matthew Gagnon and Stephen Robinson. They are the gatekeepers in Maine for neoconservatism, and they nuked Tim Bodnar's 30,000 follower X account. So you thought censorship was something that only Jack Dorsey, the former owner of Twitter, engaged in, and you became aware of it because he deleted the account for the President of the United States of America. And we all screamed bloody murder, especially us right of center conservatives, when that happened. Dorsey ended up selling to Elon Musk. Musk, upon the success of his purchase, promised to honor the First Amendment by respecting the free speech of his ex users. He changed the name to X, promising to respect the free speech rights of Americans and maybe all humans, because, of course, X has a global presence and global use. He promised to respect the God-given right to free speech, especially when it comes to religion and politics, which is what the First Amendment applies to. But he also, at the same time, said he's not going to promise freedom of reach to anybody on X, and that's the policy that he has followed with me. I'm posting to X. I'm allowed to post to X. My account hasn't been canceled, even though I have been hitting especially hard lately on the Jewish question, and that's one of the issues that can get you canceled, I believe, pretty sure, almost instantly, especially if you have a smaller account. You don't have big followers, so you're not big follower counts, so you're not making money for them. But anyway, I'm there, and I can't gain followers, so I'm locked out by algorithm from growth on X. And my microphone fell off here. So, all right, now we have 2 viewers instead of just 0. I love it. The internet. Supposed to be able to make connections with anybody in the world, but what they really mean is with anybody in the world, as long as you pay them enough money. So that was never the promise of the internet that I supported. But that's where we are at the moment. I don't think it's going to stay that way, but that's where we are. So I did get my regular morning comment from Shane. And by the way, the other person who's apparently watching on X or YouTube, you're free to comment and or ask a question, make a comment. As long as it's not a trolling comment, I'll probably throw it up there and answer your question or engage in a little bit of a conversation with you. So thank you, Shane. Good morning. Good morning. Great to have you. So continuing with my story from this week, my big story, which is about Tim and Jen Bodnar with the Truth Slinger. He wrote an essay, published it yesterday on Facebook. So here's his essay. It's real short. Life is a big bucket of turds. Holy, yes, I am feeling depressed. The world is fighting back, and I delve into her indiscretions. What a surprise. Jesus himself said, hey, bro, don't be surprised when they go all bitch on you. That's basically what he meant. People are a-holes, man, like they don't care about whether or not you live or die. You may not like that, but it is most people, and it's totally gross. There is a beacon, and that is Jesus, true north, and he has a plan, and I'm part of it. I am not afraid of anything, not money, power, influence. All I fear is my master Jesus being disappointed in me. So that's a troubling essay, of course. Any normal human is going to feel compassion for someone who articulates those ideas publicly, and I certainly do. So just after that essay was posted on Facebook, I received a text from my former employee, Michael Hine, who I really don't want to hear from ever again through any channel. But he sent me a picture of Tim's post, and he quipped, with any luck, tonight's the night, and then he has a skull emoji. And of course, we're all left wondering what he's suggesting there, hinting there. Or are we? So back to Tim's post. My guess is that he's referring to this line here. People are a-holes, man, like they don't care about whether or not you live or die. So my guess is that Hine is referring to that line, and that's what he's working toward with all of his online attacks using anonymous accounts, most likely. Of course, if anyone uses an anonymous account, they're probably smart enough to hide their tracks. So you can't really figure it out because only Elon Musk and his team have access to that back end of X. And unless you have immense money to hire a lawyer, you're not going to be able to get any kind of discovery from the corporation to breach the anonymity of those anonymous accounts. So Tim all year has been alleging that Mike Hine is hiding behind anonymous accounts in his attacks on Tim's political speech and on his personal character. And so, like, he's the only one that alleges that because he would really be the only one that can track the details. None of the rest of us are going to be drawn into that because it just seems like crazy to us. It's like, so, and we also know that trying to get to the bottom of that is going to be impossible because of what I just said. The only way you can breach X's corporate shield is with a lawyer. The only entity powerful enough with the legal authority to breach that anonymity layer on X is going to be the government, and I think it should be that. I think it should be that way. I don't think it should be such that you have to hire a lawyer because most of us can't afford that, especially as the economy continues to tank. And so this gives an advantage to anyone who wants to spin up anonymous accounts and attack for the purpose of pursuing politics or religion or anything else in a dishonest way. The advantage is given to the demons and to evil to the extent we can't get the facts about these anonymous accounts. So just to make sure I stay on point here. So Hein characterized Tim's essay by writing, "With any luck, tonight's the night," with a skull emoji. So tonight's the night for what? Is he going to kill, murder Tim? Or is he working toward getting him to commit suicide, which wouldn't be the first suicide by a prominent right of center figure in Maine who gained his power by making skillful use of social media. Sean McBriarty would be the first somewhat recent case of that happening. And what's interesting is Hein is connected to McBriarty through my conversations with him. He told me that he had a relationship with Sean. I did not. I never met him, and I wasn't real involved. I was gone from Maine for 3 years, so it was during those years that Sean's political work spun up, and so I never got an opportunity to connect with him and make up my own mind about him on a personal level. But politically, he was obviously doing some good work, a lot of good work. He had the right enemies, and I guess he was in his early 50s maybe, and he killed himself. And one of the reasons he killed himself is because he became so frustrated with the online so-called conservative world in Maine, especially frustrated with Steve Robinson and with other prominent figures who he worked to connect with in such a way that he could keep food on the table for his family. In other words, so that he could earn enough money through his work. Because he left his day job, which I think it was in medicine or something, and it might have been close to a six-figure job. He left it because his heart beat for standing up for his children and all of Maine's children. And so he did that, and he worked hard through online means, as far as I know, to raise money. And apparently he raised some, but he didn't raise enough. And I know firsthand how extremely difficult. Now I think it's pretty much impossible if you're right of center in Maine to raise enough money to keep up with inflation and to raise a stable amount over a year, even enough to pay just yourself, not to say enough to hire people full time to help you. To do that, you have to plug in through institutional means to the major donor class that exists here in Maine and outside of Maine. So you have to spin up, using lawyers and accountants, bookkeeping, whatever, institutional channel and institutional means to raise enough money to do what Sean McBriarty and Tim Bodnar through the Truthslinger Project have been trying to do. Because the internet, it has been from the beginning a captured instrument, a captured tool for communications. It was created by the military, the American military, originally, and then it was deployed, I would argue, like a weapon on the public. And one of the first things that they did with federal money is fund, through the CIA, organizations in their startup phase, like Google. And I believe that one of the reasons that we think all of this stuff is free is because the government was interested in attracting as much public use of the internet as fast as possible so that they could weaponize that data. And so it's the government of America that has created this false economy where the internet is free. We think of it as free. All of us do. And that's created a false economy for everything that is internet. But we're fast approaching a moment where that's going to be tested. And I think that reality and nature and economics and ethics and philosophy and theology are going to are going to bring about an extraordinarily dramatic change in the economics, not just of the internet, but of society, uh, even global society. I think a lot. I think the sort of cutting edge of those changes is already uh, rolling out and has been for a number of years. Um, but uh, so if you get onto the internet and you get there because your heart beats for religious truth or political truth, and not just for partisanship or ideology or money making, then you're going to get in trouble. It's just a matter of time. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to get on the wrong side of the algorithm. You're going to get on the wrong side of the internet. And so Tim and Sean, they are like canaries in the coal mine. They Sean's already dead by his own hand, and now Michael Hine is admitting in writing to me in a text that he is working hard to bring about Tim's suicide. So what I'm thinking about doing, praying about doing right now, next, with respect to Michael Hine, is responding to his text in writing and then taking a screenshot saying, do not ever text me at this phone number again. And if you do, I will instantly that day, if possible, or as soon as I can, I will approach my sheriff or whatever my whatever law enforcement agency is the pathway to the cyber crime unit in Maine. I will go through that pathway to that unit, and I will allege crimes by Michael Hine, and I'll also file a request to, whatever they call it. I hate to do it, but because it's so overused and misused, but I'll file a anti-harassment action so that I'm on record pushing back against the way that Michael Hine communicates, not just with me, but with everybody. He's also doing it with a good friend of mine, and I've had many people through the years actually come to me and make similar complaints about him, contacting them even after they've asked him not to, and doing so in a badgering and evil sort of a way. So this has obviously got to stop, right? And he's not going to stop on his own. And and it may be, many people have argued that he's a Fed, that his purpose in Maine is to create chaos right of center. And he's also worked in 2021 to create chaos left of center. And that little bit of evidence, which I have absolute evidence of, would suggest that he is in the employ of some institution like the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. It would suggest that. But the only way we're going to find out, there's only one way to get to the bottom of this. There's only one way to get to the bottom of Michael Hine, and that is the government has to do it. because like I said earlier, the government is the only institution authorized to breach the corporate shield that is granted to private businesses in America, like X, like Elon Musk's X. The government is the only institution authorized to breach that anonymity use of a platform like X. I support anonymity. I support the use of what do they call it, pseudonyms in public media. I support that. I believe in that with my whole heart. But what I don't believe in is this pseudonymous or anonymous attacking of people like Tim or Sean McBriarty. They're identifying themselves online. They're not playing that game where you spin up multiple accounts and you hide the real identity of those accounts. The other thing I want to say here is I do not support any breach of privacy of individuals in Maine or America or anywhere in the world. Every human being has the right to privacy. And this issue has got to be tackled head on now. Because KYC, what's known as Know Your Customer, is pure evil, it's demonic. And they've already, who are they? The powers that ought not be, the hidden powers, have already used this KYC, Know Your Customer technology, and their propaganda says to you, look, we're going to make you safe, we're going to know everyone. Nobody's going to be able to use synonymous or anonymous accounts on social media or online. So the only way we can protect you is to know everything about you, to know about every transaction at Walmart and basically anywhere at this point. I think they know about every transaction I make at Hannaford. I'm certain they know of it, because when I enjoy paying with the doing it yourself, packing your own bags and that thing so there's no clerk I like that. I enjoy doing that, but there's a camera that they've just installed. So they're capturing a video of my face for the purpose of biometric identification. I believe Walmart is well, now that I think about it, Hannaford is as well. It's not just about a still image to capture your face, your identity, the time that you shopped, and connect that with all of the purchase of all of your items. So connect your identity with all of your purchases. I think the video is also giving them, especially if they can get a whole person video, not just your face. If they can collect the video information now, they can identify you by your walk, by your gait, by a number of data points on your body. They can make a perfect identification of you with video. So don't think that it's just still images that they're using for facial recognition. They're using videos, and they're not looking just for data points on your face. They're looking to capture your entire body walking. And they need multiple videos of that, and they analyze it with artificial intelligence and algorithms. Who are they? The government, the American government, through a company like Palantir, headed by Peter Thiel. They're taking all of these data points, which, by the way, at Walmart admits this, and I'm sure Hannaford's the same way. They do not maintain the data in the cloud. They subscribe to a third party that takes responsibility for maintaining the data, and that third party gets a promise from Hannaford or Walmart that they share in the ownership of that data. And so they then monetize the data by selling it to another third party, which is selling your data to Palantir and to entities like Palantir. Why do you think they're so valuable? Why do you think they're at the heart of connecting attack drones to kill missions in Gaza? And why do you think they end up killing women and children? Now, I think in Gaza, they there's probably intentionality between there's probably intentionality in the murder of women and children. In other words, in the murder of non-combatants. But there's also a possibility that this entire technology, this kill technology that's been deployed in Gaza for the last 2 years, is just not that good, and so they're killing innocents by mistake. There's a possibility that that's happening. We're never going to know, right? Because the government's now under this hyper Jewish supremacist, absolutist use of politics and religion and the law, are either going to lie to us. They're going to massage the data. They're going to lie to us when we ask them pointed and direct questions, or whatever, because they've been granted all this power by the United States, mostly by the evangelical, pro-Jewish, Judeo-Christian movement in America. That's why they have all of this unhinged, immoral power over you, over your family. And even people who I have incredible respect for have admitted to me very recently that what I'm talking about here regarding privacy, that's a ship that sailed a long time ago. There is no privacy now, and there never will be any privacy because of technology. Is that true? That's not a world that I have any interest in living in. And it's also not a world that I have any interest in massaging my narrative for in order to live longer so that I can hug my grandchildren. This whole matter of privacy as it relates to technology is so important to me that I'm willing to die for it or go to prison. I am willing to die on that hill. The FBI's already been to my house. I've already lost the right to work anywhere on earth ever again in my life. As long as I breathe, I'm legally banned from working for minimum wage for Federal Express. And the reason is because a transsexual was offended by my narrative, my truth-telling, my defense of Christian morals online. I've got evidence. This isn't a contention or an allegation on my part. I lived it in 2020. I'm telling you the absolute evidence-based truth about what happened to me. So the only thing I can do next is die or go to prison, because they've throttled me online. They've entered me into, I think they entered me into Google's algorithm years ago to squash or squelch anyone's search for me. I mean, all the evidence I have about numbers online, not numbers going up, which is what everyone looks for. My numbers have always gone down online. So ever since 2004, my numbers always go down. They never go up. They'll go up if you believe the analytics. They'll go up for a little while, but then they always reach a point and then they go down. And what am I talking about numbers with respect to me? Well, I used to measure the effectiveness of my political work by by the amount of money we were able to raise from our supporters. So that started going down in 2004. I would measure it when the internet first got spun up by the number of email addresses that we had on our email distribution list. And what's interesting about that is, and it has to do with Michael Hine, is that I was never one to buy email addresses or to really push online to try to. I was never one to market, to develop a marketing, branding kind of narrative for my daily email called the Weekly Issue Summary. I just thought, if people want it, they'll subscribe to it. It was free and it was very visible on the website. And so I just didn't feel like I wanted to come blazing into someone's inbox. I still feel that way. My inbox is mostly trash today. It's mostly my email address being sold to companies or other political interests that are either for or against me. I end up on their list, and then years ago I stopped unsubscribing because I couldn't keep up with it. So, but when I hired Michael Hine to be my administrator around 2005 or 2004, he didn't share that he didn't share that idea about email addresses, and we never really talked about it. So he never did anything against my wishes that I know of. But he's the one that blew up my email list by just starting to add, copy and paste people's email addresses. He figured out how to get their addresses somehow online somewhere, and he'd copy and paste them onto the list, and it blew up. The list blew up. One of the groups he put on there, all of them, was all the press, all the journalists, which I support. I think that's fine. I think people's personal email addresses we ought to be more careful with, and make sure that they are the ones who initiate subscription. But if you're a member of the media, then hey, you're fair game, at least with your official institutional email address. But anyway, he's the one who did that for me, and now of course he's the guy who's using all of these hidden means to try to get people to commit suicide. So it's it's all very interesting, but it's also very dangerous now. I mean, for Michael Hine, assuming he's not an intelligence fed, is doing very real damage to his soul with that text. Wishing suicide on anybody else has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. It has nothing to do with Christianity. For goodness sakes, it has nothing to do with the moral law. It's personal animus. It's hatred, and so okay. So if he's not FBI, so if he's not getting a paycheck, and he's just doing this for himself because he's on a crusade that's personally motivated, then wow, right? I mean, that's like jaw-dropping evil, hate. That's very, very hateful. What if he's doing it for pay with the Federal Bureau of Investigation? Now, the Federal Bureau of Investigation is authorized by definition to operate in the United States of America, but it's breaking all kinds of laws, I believe, and it's certainly breaking natural law and moral law to be doing this kind of thing against American citizens. So in either case here, Hine is unhinged from what's real, from what's natural, from what's religious, from what's Christian. He has totally unhinged himself from reality. So if it's in either case, if he's being paid by the FBI or if he's doing this for personal reasons and religious reasons, so-called moral reasons, then he needs help. So if he's working for the FBI, America itself needs help. right? Our political and our relationship to politics and how we define government and religion needs a major facelift. That's my conclusion there. If he's connected to the FBI, if he's not connected to the FBI, maybe a psychological evaluation is in order, or something needs to be done to help this man. And if not to help him, at least get him stop his efforts that are doing so much damage, not just to political movements here in Maine, but to individuals like Tim and Jen Bodnar. It has to be stopped. So Michael is one of the few people who tell me that they watch my archives, so he'll probably see this. I hope he does. And I hope, Michael, if you see this, or if you're watching now, maybe you're one of the 4 people who are on YouTube or X, or maybe you're watching on michaelheath.tv. I'd really like to not have to waste another nanosecond thinking about or talking about you, and I'd really like to never hear from you again by text or by any other channel. So I'd really appreciate it if you don't force me to take the time to text you back and to have to chase down law enforcement and to have to try to get a cybercrime investigation, criminal investigation started on your activities over the past year, and maybe all the way back to when I met you. I don't know at this point. You've committed so much evil this year that it leaves me wondering if what things were really like during the 6 years that I paid you, during the 6 years that I had you on my payroll. I have to wonder what was really going on there. I chose to trust you, and I now have come to the conclusion that trust was misplaced, absolutely, unequivocally misplaced. It was based on a lie. You were presenting yourself to me in a dishonest way. There's no doubt about that in my mind now. Were you with the FBI then, if you are a Fed? I don't know. Maybe. But I do know this. I need to know. I need to find out now. You've pushed this so far beyond reason that I now need to know. So if you choose to text me again, you know what I'm going to do. If you keep this up against Tim, and you drag in good, honorable names like Steve Robinson and Matthew Gagnon, I don't agree with them. I'm not a neoconservative. I don't agree with their politics. I think their journalism is helpful, but it falls so far short of what's needed to help all Maine people come to grips with the truth, that it's almost like they're a Fed operation, just there to keep us churning about the Chinese and about the trannies and about the Somalis, and that's their real reason for existence, is to keep us focused there, when there's so much more going on. There's so many other threats, more dangerous to our future economic life, even to our existence as a state in a nation called the United States of America. There's so much going on that threatens all of that, it appears you're purposely not talking about. You're not doing journalism about. So I do have that issue with Matthew Gagnon and Steve Robinson. And really anybody else in Maine who's a citizen, a legal citizen, who works overtime to keep their brain from thinking a negative thought about Jews, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's perfectly legal, legitimate, moral, maybe even praiseworthy to sink a crucifix of Christ in someone's urine and have your taxpayer dollars pay for it, it's perfectly reasonable for us to use Robert's Rules of Order in school board meetings for the next 10 years to argue over bathrooms and gender. Why are we doing this? Why? Why is this happening? Is it the Bishop of Portland that wants this nonsense, this unreal, this complete, absolute, hellish evil to be the only subjects that we can debate? Is that who wants this? No. No. Is it even Steve Robinson and Matthew Gagnon? I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure they want this. But now I got to wonder, because they filed a trademark violation complaint with Elon Musk's X and got their competition, in a sense, Tim Bodnar's 30,000 follower TruthSlinger X account, suspended. They did that. According to Michael Hine, they did that. They practiced active right of center censorship of an ally. They did that, according to Michael Hine. You think the Mainwire and Steve and Matt are the good guys. Are they? Are they good guys if they practice professionally and actively censorship? If you think so, then you don't want to keep tuning in to me, because I don't think so. I'm not for censorship of political and religious speech in any way, shape, or form. I'm not for it. Now, if Maine or America, now, well, the way it used to be in the beginning was the national government allowed states to create a kind of state church. You know, up here, most of it was congregational. In Rhode Island, it was Baptist. But that was allowed. That was constitutional for the state to legally recognize a Protestant denomination. I think in Maryland at that time, it may have been the Catholic Church that was recognized as the denomination of the Maryland colony. But the point is, America didn't start with this jurisprudence related to religion that we now have, that we now practice. I'm not arguing that Maine should label Roman Catholicism or some one of the 40,000 splinters of Protestantism as Maine's state religion. That's not my argument. My argument is that religion matters, and it ought to be free to discuss any and all religious ideas and any and all political ideas. That right should be very clearly articulated and protected within the borders of the state of Maine. That's all I'm arguing for. You think that that's true right now. Well, it obviously isn't true anymore. Because a lot of what Tim is motivated by is religion. And Tim isn't a denomination. Tim doesn't, I mean, he makes a claim, he wants to start churches and things, but evangelicalism has included that sort of ideological or theological contention for a long time, that anybody basically can declare themselves a pastor and get 501c3 status and blah, 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 and become a church. So that's not my point either here. My point here is that Tim is right of center politically, so he's an ally politically of Robinson and Gagnon, and he's also a religious ally in a sense. I don't think either of those men run from their Christianity. They're not trying to be evangelists. I don't expect them, that they're not called to be evangelists, but there's a tremendous amount of overlap between TruthSlinger and Robinson and Gagnon. There's a lot of overlap there. And there's enough overlap so that a claim of trademark violation needs to be discussed privately. And it needs to be initiated by them, by Robinson and Gagnon privately. And I am, by the way, so send this video to them, please. I'm calling on you, Steve and Matt, to withdraw the trademark violation complaint with X. Formally withdraw it in writing, publicly. I'm calling on you to do that. And until you have a chance to go head to head privately with Tim. And if you decide after that that his little trolling of you after you called him a weirdo publicly, if his trolling of you is justified, would justify in your minds a trademark misuse or violation, then at that point, I will give you all my support in filing the complaint, the legal complaint with X, if that's what you believe happened. I know that didn't happen. And I believe that you are both gentlemen. I believe that both of you are professional enough to find that I'm right, to come to that conclusion if you meet with Tim. Now, I know that your real complaint, the real reason you call him a weirdo publicly, is because in a sense he is. What he does on X and on social media is driven by his emotion, his passion to get attention, to gain followers. And you throw bombs on X, you throw bombs to a lesser extent on Facebook, but basically you're a bomb thrower in order to gain numbers, gain followers on social media. So your real complaint with Tim is with his tone and style. It's with the words he uses. It's with the methods, his tactics on social media when he's pursuing a political objective. That's your complaint. Your complaint is with his tactics, and it may also be with his strategy. But so be it. Argue it out publicly on social media and let everyone make up their own mind whether Tim's a weirdo or not. I mean, if you think he is, fine. You have every right to say it publicly. But Steve, you've been on his show. You've said positive things about the guy. Then he gets ghosted for most of the year by you. And then all of a sudden he's a weirdo. Maine can't work that way. None of us can work that way. We can't be human that way. You owe Tim, you and Matt now, because Matt's name has been drug into this by Michael Hine, you owe him a meeting. At the very least, you owe him a private meeting, at the very least. And if you're not going to do that, I'm going to stay on your 6, not to protect you, but to expose you. Because we can't operate this way. None of us as humans, I don't care if you're left, right, atheist, Christian, whatever, we cannot live together in a geography within borders in a place like Maine if we're going to act this way, if we're going to do things this way. So this whole thing needs to de-escalate. It needs to de-escalate immediately, and it needs to go private. It needs to go behind closed doors, and it needs to be resolved. I know Tim's all about it. Tim produced the content he did. This whole thing started like less than a week ago, maybe 1 week ago. And Tim does 150 posts a day on X, he and his wife, Jen. And when he gets attacked, he attacks back. He goes on the offense instantly on social media. Why wouldn't he? The only thing left to us now, us nobody account holders who don't have institutional power and money behind us. The only thing left to us is to go nuclear in the moment, in defense of our character. That's the only thing left to us, because social media is not social media. It's anti-social media, and it has been from the beginning. It's anti-social media. Nothing social about it. All it is media. It's public media. And they've fooled us into thinking of it as some kind of personal thing, as some kind of private thing. It's never been that way. Google and Facebook were spun up by the CIA with seed funding from the CIA and the FBI. Maybe it was the FBI, but anyway, it was seed funding from American intelligence agencies. These, Facebook and Google especially, have direct ties to American intelligence. And they've done an incredible job of building out the technology in such a way that we all feel like we can't be safe unless the government knows everything about us. How do you think that happened? Do you think it just happened out of the blue? Do you think there was no strategic effort to bring us to this point? Really? Really? You know where you should feel the least safe? Whenever you're talking to a government official, whenever you're Facebooking, whenever you're Googling, whenever you're uploading to Google Drive, whenever you're taking pictures on your phone that automatically get shared all over the place within your Google account. These are the things you do every day where you should feel the least safe. When you're on Microsoft and you're using Copilot and you've permissioned them to, which I don't even think you have to give permission now, I think they just do it, to take a still image of your screen using Microsoft Windows every second or 5 seconds or something like that. And of course, the reason they give you is, well, we want to be able to protect you. We want to be able to, if you lose a password or whatever, we've got it, right? We've got it. We've got you covered. See what's wrong with that? You see what's wrong in your head with this? If you aren't panicked to find out this week that Walmart is shooting video of you while the whole time you're shopping, and then keeping track of the next video, the next video, and the next video, and mashing all of that together and putting it through a psychological algorithm to predict your behavior. If you're okay with that, maybe you're one of Musk's artificially intelligent robots, because you're not a human being. Yeah, you've got an intelligence, all right, but it's artificial. I didn't plan to go here for the last hour, but I'm glad I did, because I feel like I've gotten something off my chest. If anything I've said, triggers any sort of concern or agreement, I would just ask you to summon the courage to share the link with one other person, a family member, or as many people as you can, because the only way that I'm going to touch more souls is I'm not going to spend a dime to buy emails or to get more followers or any of that stuff. I'll never do that. I've never done it. I'm never going to start. So the only way I'm going to get more views is if you choose to share the link. That's it. That's the only way. Is organic spread of this message, of my thinking. So 4 people, according to my eyeball here in StreamYard, are watching me on X or YouTube. Might have some more watching me on michaelheath.tv, but I'd sure like that to become 5 or 6 or 7 by tomorrow. I'm not looking to save the world here. The world doesn't need to be saved, right? The world is fraught with whatever. I'm looking to speak the truth, to have truthful conversations with friend and foe, not with robots, not with trolls, not with with people who want to hate other people. I don't care about, never have cared about that. I want to be in the company of reasonable people, of reasoning human beings. I would like to disagree with you until the cows come home about politics, and have the resolution of that political disagreement be a vote, an honest vote, a real vote of all the citizens of Maine, or all the citizens of Maine who choose to vote. That's what I'd like. So, as one of the people I listen to likes to say often, if I've shared anything with you that interests you, or that you either agree or disagree with, put it in the comments, or in my case, you can send me an email. You can comment on my blog, michaelheath.org. But the comments are turned on there. So would love to hear you in the comments. I think they're turned on YouTube. I don't know how X works. And I think they're turned on at michaelheath.tv, but I'm not sure. I'll be going and checking that. In future shows, I'll talk more about it. So it's Friday. It's the end of the work week. Saturday, tomorrow, which is also part of the work week. My wife was telling me about how she grew up. Her father, an independent Maine trucker, always worked on Saturday. That was the day that he changed the oil in his semi and got really dirty, crawling around and fixing stuff on his big old truck. And so we need that work ethic back. Oh man, do we need it? We need that back. It's got to come back. It is coming back. So join with me as we close today's show. I'm wishing you the best for today by praying the Lord's Prayer with me in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I really do appreciate you giving me some